How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, and today we will be giving our Week 2 picks in the NFL. Before we do that, I do want to recap last night's game between the Commanders and the Packers. Thursday Night Football. I already started 0-1. At least against the spread, I'm 0-1 this week, but straight up, I'm 1-0. Because I did have the Packers winning. I did take the Commanders with the points last night. My takeaway from the game, Packers defense is legit, everybody. This defense was flying all over the place last night. Micah Parsons still playing a limited amount of snaps, but he was wrecking havoc. This defensive line was getting after Jaden Daniels, making him uncomfortable, putting a lot of pressure on him. The secondary, was really in attack mode all night. Keyshawn Nixon had a very good game. I think he had 5 pass breakups in the secondary. So, this defense in 2 games. You got to remember, look at the 2 teams that they went up against. They went up against the Lions, who were the number 1 seed last year, and now they took on the Commanders, who were in the NFC Championship game last year, and they have made these offenses look pretty pedestrian. So, the Commanders, they put up 15 points in the fourth quarter. The Packers were dominating this game from start to finish. Their defense, like I said, played really well last night, and then the offense did its job. They ran the ball, 135 yards in total. Josh Jacobs had a rushing touchdown. He continues to score touchdowns every single week when he is running the football for the Packers, dating back to last year. Just keeps scoring rushing touchdowns. Jordan Love had an efficient night. Just fell short of the 300-yard mark. 292 on the night, 2 touchdowns. Did scramble for a 14-yard run at one point during the game. Tucker Kraft had a very good game last night, 6 receptions for 124 yards and a touchdown. There was a blown coverage that led to a 57-yard reception by him. But, he was the top target last night. Dontavian Wicks caught 4 balls for 44 yards. Very nice catch by Malik Heath. And initially, it was ruled incomplete. They went back and reviewed it, and it was a completion. Romeo Doubs had a touchdown in this game. They did lose Jaden Reed early on in this game. He has a broken collarbone now, and he's going to be out till November, so that's a big loss on the offensive side. But the offense looked good. The defense looked good. 4 sacks of Jaden Daniels last night. Brandon McManus went 2 for 3 on field goals. He did miss one. I forget what the range was on that, but he did miss a field goal. But overall, it was a really good game for the Packers. For the Commanders, they couldn't run the ball last night, only ran the ball for 51 yards. Zach Ertz ended up being their leading receiver. He had 6 receptions for 64 yards and a touchdown. Terry McLaurin only had 5 catches for 48 yards. Deebo Samuel had a late touchdown in this game. Commanders defense did get 2 sacks of Jordan Love, but I thought the defensive line, I thought at times it did play well, but the secondary just couldn't hold up for the Commanders. But offensively, they couldn't run the ball. They could not run the ball. Now the running game took a big hit. Austin Eckler went down late. It's most likely a torn Achilles, so he's going to be out for the rest of the season. Krosky Merritt, who made headlines, these last couple weeks, had a good game against the Giants, really didn't do anything. They didn't activate Chris Rodriguez for this game, so now he's going to be activated for next week. So Commanders got some issues there in the backfield now that they're going to have to figure out. They traded away Brian Robinson to the 49ers. The running game is kind of taking a hit. But, Jane Daniels took some hits last night. Not something you want to see. But it's a credit to the Packers and how well their defense has looked these first 2 weeks. But, the Commanders just couldn't really get anything going. A lot of there wasn't a lot of deep shots taken. A lot of it was just, medium route passes. There just really wasn't they really just could not get into a rhythm last night. But like I said, the Packers defense really just was swarming them on like every play, and it doesn't help when you can't run the football. They were a good running team last year, but now they got to find that running game again. So, Packers are 2-0. They look really good. They look really good right now. And it's a credit to that defense. Jordan Love is healthy. I think that's a big thing too, because last year, the whole year he was banged up. Now he's 100% pretty much, and he looks good. So Packers are 2-0. Commanders are 1-1. Packers next week, I think they take on the Browns, and then as for the Commanders, they will be facing the Raiders at home, and the Raiders play on Monday. So Packers won 27-18. So now let's go to the games for Sunday. So starting off with an AFC North matchup, Browns, Ravens. Both teams should be 1-0, if not for missed field goals and turnovers and a little bit of luck. But, so both teams you can say should be 1-0 right now. You could say they should be 1-0 right now. Ravens right now, 11.5-point favorites. It's a lot of points giving it to a divisional opponent. Joe Flacco starting against his former team in Baltimore. I know they were asking Lamar Jackson about what it was like having Flacco around. Interesting game here. It's a big number. It's a really big number, but I don't know. I just feel like the Ravens are really ticked off over the loss from last week, and I definitely could see this game getting out of hand for the Browns. So Ravens I obviously have winning. It's a very big number. It's a divisional game, but I'm going to say that the Ravens, win by a couple of scores and they cover this big number. So I'm going to take the Ravens by laying the 11.5. Then we got the Jaguars and the Bengals, two teams that are 1-0 on the season. Jags coming off of a convincing win against the Panthers. Bengals a not so convincing win against the Browns, but hey, they're 1-0. At this time last year, they were 0-1. So already they're getting off to a better start than they've had in years past. The Bengals are favored by 3.5. I really liked how the Jaguars were able to establish a running game last week. Travis Etienne ran the football effectively. And they just traded Tank Bigsby away. So, you got Travis Etienne. You got a couple of the young guys as well on the roster. Trevor Lawrence did just enough. Brian Thomas Jr. didn't have a big game. He did have a rushing touchdown. I think Travis Hunter's supposed to get more snaps defensively. The Bengals defense I still don't trust. I think Joe Burrow and this offense will put together a better showing than they did last week. I do think they'll win, but I think this game is going to be close. I think the Jaguars are going to be able to move the ball against this Bengals defense. So I'll take the Jaguars with the points, but I'm going to lean towards the Bengals getting the win here. Then we got the Giants and the Cowboys. So this line actually opened up at 6.5. It's now down to 4.5. Giants just couldn't get anything going offensively against Washington last week. And the Cowboys, look, they couldn't stop the Eagles on defense, but that offense was able to move the ball. And if it wasn't for a couple of drops by CeeDee Lamb, maybe the Cowboys would have won that game. The Cowboys have owned the Giants. I mean, the last time the Giants beat them was, I think, during the COVID season, the final week of the regular season. And the last time they won in Dallas was 2016, Dak's first start ever. And Dak owns the Giants. I don't think CeeDee Lamb's going to be dropping passes this week. I think the offense is going to put up a lot of points. I just think, with the issues that the Giants have on the offensive line and just how Russell Wilson looked, I just don't think I don't think there's really going to be anything the Giants are going to be able to do offensively. Even with the Cowboys struggling on defense last week, I think they'll be able to get after Russell Wilson. And I think the Giants offense, again, it's just going to struggle. They couldn't run the football last week. They just could not do anything. And then when they would get down towards the goal line, they couldn't punch it in. They couldn't score. The Cowboys are going to be it looks like they're going to be without Deron Bland, so that's another injury to that defense, another subtraction from that defense. But the Cowboys just own the Giants. So I think the Cowboys win pretty easily, and I think they cover. It is interesting that the line now has gone down, but I think it doesn't matter. I think the Cowboys are going to win this game convincingly. I think Dak plays well. I think they do enough to get the win, and send the Giants 0-2. Then we got another divisional matchup. Bears at the Lions. Ben Johnson's coming home party against his former team. Both teams coming off of losses in week 1. Lions just were outplayed by the Packers in every way. Jared Goff and that offense looked pretty pedestrian in week 1. Didn't score a touchdown until the very end of the game. As for the Bears, Caleb Williams had a very good drive, and then the offense kind of stalled after that. The Bears, look, they played well defensively for 3 quarters. They were shutting down that Vikings offense, and then J.J. McCarthy and that offense came alive, and they were able to get the win. This Bears defense is still pretty good. I do think the Bears cover. So I'm going to take the Bears to cover. But I do think the Lions even their record up. And this is a very important game for the Lions, not just because it's a divisional game, but because of who they play next week. Next week, they play the Ravens in Baltimore. And they played the Ravens a couple years ago in Baltimore, and the Ravens won very convincingly. And, the way the Lions look right now without Ben Johnson, without Aaron Glenn, after one game, the issues on the offensive line, this game, they need to get this win here. So I think the Lions do win, but the Bears cover. I think this is going to be a close game. Here's a game that's tough. Patriots, Dolphins. So the Dolphins usually knock off the Patriots here at home, but the Dolphins played so poorly last week. 2 interceptions. The defense could not stop the Colts offense. But the Patriots didn't look that good last week either. Drake May turned the ball over, and they ended up losing to the Raiders. Dolphins are favored by 1.5 points. I'm going to say it's a toss-up for me. By the way, the Bears-Lions game, right now the line's at 6, so that's why I took the Bears. I think the Bears can cover because the Bears have a good defense. I think they'll keep it within that number. But yeah, the Patriots and the Dolphins, it's tough. And also with the Dolphins, Darren Waller is not going to play again. It looks like he might not play at all this year because of a hip injury. Comes out of retirement, gets traded to the Dolphins from the Giants, and now it looks like he might not even play at all this year. I'm going to say I'm going to lean towards the Dolphins. Take the Dolphins here, but I really don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about it. But at some point something's going to have to give. I mean, the Patriots are going to beat them at some point in Miami, but things are just not looking good right now there. So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to take the Dolphins. 1.5 favorite. Don't feel great about it. I don't feel great about picking this game at all. But I'm going to take the Dolphins. Then we got the 49ers at the Saints. Saints are 3-point underdogs at home. Saints really didn't play that bad against the Cardinals last week. They had some chances there. 49ers are just ravaged by injuries. Brock Purdy's now going to be out 2 to 5 weeks. He's dealing with turf toe. He's dealing with the shoulder injury. The turf toe is the more serious injury because the injury is to his non-throwing shoulder. So they're going to be without him. George Kittle, of course, is on IR with the hamstring injury. 49ers defense played really well last week. I mean, Brock Purdy, of course, had the heroic touchdown pass to the tight end, Tunges. And then, Nick Bosa, the game-sealing play against Darnold in the red zone to cement the win. Robert Saleh can still coach defense, everybody. Can still do that. And that's it's good that the 49ers got him back as the man in charge of that defensive unit. So I do think the 49ers defense is going to wreak havoc on the Saints and that offense. It's just, what is this 49ers offense going to do? Mac Jones steps in and, I thought did okay last year filling in for Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. And it's kind of funny how Mac Jones was linked to the 49ers when, he was getting drafted. But then, the 49ers went and they got Trey Lance. So it's funny how that works. This is going to be a heavy Christian McCaffrey game. Ricky Pearsall made plays last week. So, those are going to be the guys to focus on in this game. Offensively, Mac Jones is going to be distributing the ball to a bunch of guys that, some of them you might not have ever heard of. So that's just how injured the 49ers are right now. No Kittle. Ayuk is still ways away from coming back. Juwan Jennings, I don't know what his stat. I think he's questionable right now. Could look at the injury report. So Juwan Jennings, he didn't practice on Thursday. So, status isn't looking that good. But like I said, I think the 49ers defense is going to wreak havoc on the Saints offense. And I think the 49ers will do just enough offensively to get by. Saints are 3-point underdogs, like I said. I don't feel great about it, but I think I'm going to take the 49ers and lay the points. Because, again, I just think this defense is going to shut the Saints down. Then we got an interesting game here. Bills and Jets at MetLife Stadium. Now, the Jets have given the Bills problems in the past at MetLife Stadium. The Bills did get the better of the Jets last year, but if it wasn't for a lot of missed field goals by the Jets definitely could have won that game. But then the year before, you had the Xavier Gibson walk-off kickoff touchdown in extra innings. In overtime, I'm in baseball mode. Just did the Yankee video before. Well, because I said walk off in extra innings. The kickoff, the punt return for the touchdown against the Bills in Week 1 a couple years ago, and then in 2022, the Jets won as well. Jets looked pretty good, in Week 1 offensively. They were able to run the football. Justin Fields played really well. The offensive line, I thought, did a great job against the Steelers pass rush in Week 1. The Bills, of course, coming off of that epic comeback against the Ravens. Josh Allen was just magnificent. And, they were able to pull off the win and get to 1-0, 41-40, the final score there. The Jets' pass rush, I thought, looked good. The secondary was not good. The Bills, I think their defense might struggle a little bit in this game, especially because now Ed Oliver, one of their defensive linemen, one of their best players on defense, I think is going to be out for this game. So that bodes well for the Jets. The Jets are 6.5-point underdogs in this game. I do like them with the points. I mean, it's possible you could see an upset here. It's possible. But I think the Bills, they'll win a close game here. So I'm going to take them. But I think the Jets cover the number. But it wouldn't surprise me if it goes the other way. And, the Bills just dominate from start to finish. But, I mean, look, I just, there were things to really like about the Jets, even though they lost the game last week. They should have won. So now we got the Seahawks and the Steelers next. Steelers, the team that knocked off the Jets last week. Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdown passes. Chris Boswell, game-winning 60-yard field goal, or go-ahead 60-yard field goal. Jalen Ramsey with the signature play at the end, tackling Garrett Wilson, drawing the ball loose on 4th down. And that really cemented the Steelers' victory. Seahawks coming off of a tough loss against the 49ers. They could have won that game. Seahawks are getting 3 points here. Home opener for the Steelers. Steelers' defense was not good last week. They did make plays when they had to, but they gave up a lot of yards to the Jets, who ran the football effectively against them. And the Seahawks are going to want to do the same thing, establish the run with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Aaron Rodgers went up against this same defense last year. Leonard Williams had the pick 6 off of him. I like the Seahawks with the points, and I think I am leaning towards them winning this game. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think that Seahawks defense is going to give this Steelers offense, some problems. They're going to get after Aaron Rodgers. This offensive line is really going to have to do a better job at protecting Aaron Rodgers. Otherwise, it's going to be a really long year. That was an issue last week. Rodgers got sacked 4 times, so they got to do a better job of that. But yeah, I like the Seahawks in this game, so I'm going to take them to win, and they have the points, so they're going to cover, obviously. Then we got the Rams and the Titans. That was a rough game for Cam Ward, right? Going up against the best defense in the league, arguably. First NFL start in Denver. Now, the Broncos didn't play that well offensively, but, they were still able to get the win. But, I think there were some things to like with what Cam Ward did. Drops were an issue in the game last week. Now it's their home opener against the Rams, who did just enough to beat the Texans. 2 very good defenses going at it between the Texans and the Rams. Rams' defensive line wreaked havoc on C.J. Stroud, and I think they're going to continue to be an issue here against the rookie. It's going to be interesting because the Rams' offensive line is a little banged up. A couple of offensive linemen are injured right now. But I like the Rams in this spot to win and cover the 5.5. 5.5 is a lot of points. Um, but I like, Stafford and this offense to continue to get it going with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. And obviously Kylan Williams had a touchdown last week. And again, Rams defense, very good. So I think they win and cover, although it's a tough game on the road. Then you got the Panthers and the Cardinals. Panthers are getting 6.5. They did not look good last week at all. At all. And how Bryce Young finished up the season, you thought they were going to put together a much better showing. That was not the case. They had a late touchdown with Chuba Hubbard. The Cardinals, did what they had to do. They knocked off the Saints. It wasn't the prettiest of wins, but James Conner had a rushing touchdown. Marvin Harrison Jr. had a very good game, and they are at home. So it's 6.5. It's a big number, but I think Kyler Murray and this offense continue to get it going here, and I think they win. And I think they cover the number here. And if Bryce Young has another bad game, I think there's going to be some people that are just going to start hitting the panic button again. Because, again, like they finished the season strong last year, and now, last week, what was that? So, but yeah, I like the Cardinals to win and cover. Then you got the Broncos and the Colts. Colts are plus 1.5 at home. Daniel Jones played really well, but the Dolphins were their opponent. And you could say, that was why they did well, because now they're going up against arguably the best defense in the league. And Bo Nix didn't look great last week. Had a couple of interceptions. This offense struggled. They did get a couple of good runs out of J.K. Dobbins, who had a touchdown last week. R.J. Harvey had a good run. Cortland Sutton had a touchdown last week. I'm taking the Broncos. I think Daniel Jones is going to come back down to reality a little bit and struggle. I unfortunately have to start him this week in my 2-quarterback league because Brock Purdy is hurt. So, that's not great for me. Daniel Jones, I think, is going to struggle against his defense. But, I think the Broncos, they win. And the offense looks a little bit better. Bo Nix, I think, will have a better game than he did last week. Then we got the game of the week. Eagles-Chiefs. Chiefs are 1-point underdogs at home. Now, rematch of the Super Bowl. Chiefs got shellacked at 40-22. And even then, a lot of those points came in garbage time. The Chiefs are banged up. Xavier Worthy is now out. They couldn't really run the football last week, the Chiefs against the Chargers. They ended up losing to the Chargers. Eagles got the win against the Cowboys. Eagles' offense looked pretty good, and then the thunderstorm delay happened, and then everything kind of was off sync there, but they still got the win. Jalen Carter, of course, got thrown out of the game right before the game even started. Well, right after the kickoff, for spitting on Dak Prescott. Look, I know everybody's going to be riding the Eagles, and I almost was going to do the same thing. Probably still end up biting me in the end, but I feel like the Chiefs are going to find a way to get a win here and get to 1-1. Patrick Mahomes has never started off 0-2 in his career. And I look, the Chiefs have sat on this Super Bowl loss for months. They want to get revenge here in this spot. I know it's not this game is not to the same level, but the Eagles embarrassed them. The Eagles embarrassed them. And I think they're going to want to show it. And I think there's some weaknesses in that Eagles secondary that I think Mahomes could exploit, despite, there not being that many explosive weapons on this team. But it's Patrick Mahomes. He's still that guy. So I think the Chiefs win a close game here, and you're giving Patrick Mahomes points at home. And it's the Chiefs' home opener. I've been saying home opener a lot. I'm gonna take the Chiefs to win a close game here. So give me the Chiefs. And then we got a rematch of the national championship game from a couple years ago with the two quarterbacks. Michael Penix against J.J. McCarthy. Michael Penix looked pretty good against the Buccaneers. J.J. McCarthy had a very good fourth quarter against the Bears. Falcons are getting 3.5. I think it started out at 4 and went down. Look, the Vikings defense kept the Vikings in it before the game got out of hand, and that was one of the reasons why they were able to come back. The Falcons defense gave Baker Mayfield and the Bucs problems, and obviously the Bucs still ended up winning. I know Drake London is banged up for this game. I think he should be playing. Minnesota is a very tough place to play. It's a very tough place to play. This is J.J. McCarthy's second career start. I got to see him put together a full game before I fully trust him. I mean, what I saw at the end of the Bears game really showed me something. So, that gets a lot of points for me going forward. But let's see J.J. McCarthy put together a full 4 quarters. And, obviously there's still a lot we have to see out of Michael Penix, too. He doesn't have a lot of starts under his belt in the NFL. But you know what? I think this is going to be... I'm going to say this is a close game here. I think the Falcons cover the number, but I'm going to lean towards the Vikings getting the win. So I'll take the Vikings, but the Falcons cover. And then on Monday, we got a couple of good matchups, doubleheader. You got the Bucs and the Texans. Texans favored by 2.5, and then you got the Chargers in Vegas to take on the Raiders after their win, but both teams winning. Chargers getting the win against the Chiefs, Raiders getting the win against the Patriots. So the Texans did not look good last week. I mean, their defense kept them in the game, but their offense was out of sorts. C.J. Stroud was under pressure all game long. That was not good. Only 3 field goals. Bucs coming off of that impressive win against the comeback win against the Falcons. Baker Mayfield hitting Emeka Egbuka for the go-ahead touchdown. I actually like the Texans. I think the Texans get the win here. I think the defense gives the Bucs problems. I think C.J. Stroud has a much better game than he did last week. I think this offense gets it going a little bit. So I do like them to win in this spot. And then on Monday, the second game, Chargers-Raiders. Give me the Chargers, laying the 3.5. Could be a close game. I mean, look, you got Pete Carroll against Jim Harbaugh, former NFC West rivals, now rivalry renewed in this game. But the Chargers I think are the better overall team. I think Justin Herbert will have a good game. I think this defense will get after Geno Smith. But it wouldn't surprise me if this game is pretty close and within the 3 points. But I do like the Chargers to get the win and cover. So to kind of go over my picks again, I got the Ravens winning and covering. I got the Jaguars covering, Bengals winning, Cowboys winning and covering over the Giants, the Bears to cover, the Lions to win, the Dolphins to win and cover, the 49ers to win and cover, the Bills to win, but the Jets to cover the 6.5. The Seahawks are the underdog against the Steelers to win with the points as well. The Rams to win and cover, the Cardinals to win and cover, the Broncos to win and cover, the Chiefs with the points, win and cover. The Falcons to cover, but the Vikings to win. Texans to win and cover, and then the Chargers to win and cover. Those are my NFL Week 2 picks. Let me know what you guys think about those picks. What are your Week 2 picks? Should be another good week. So, as a reminder, everybody, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Make sure to follow us on the social media platforms in the description below, and wherever you get your podcasts, you can look us up as well. Type in Infinite Sports to listen to us. And as always, everybody, I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, signing off. Have a good one. Enjoy the weekend. Talk to you guys next time. Take care.